Okay, there we go. Welcome to the video on Bitcoin. I want to take a real quick look at the charts here, and before I get into this, of course, this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. You're responsible for your own trades, manage your own risk, doing your own research. I'm just giving my opinion on the market. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few things here. I'm going to be taking a look at the waves indicator, which is actually something that somebody brought up just about 6-7 minutes ago on the Discord. So I want to talk a little bit about that. I also want to talk a little bit about the expansion that we were talking about yesterday and where the targets for that potentially are, and what we would need to see a continuation move to the upside to that target of like $10,000 to $10,020, somewhere in that range. So again, we were talking about that yesterday as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at this here. Move on into the chart. Okay, so I'm going to remove the algo on here, and I'm going to talk about that in a separate video for our insured members. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that because we made some changes to that here recently. And let's see here, I'm going to pull this guy on here so we can take a look at some moving averages. Very interesting things to note on this. All right, so first things first, we defined a range, and the range that we defined was from up here to down here, which defined our median as our green line that we can see right here. It goes all the way across. Okay, so we've got this clearly defined. I'm on an hourly time frame. I'm going to move to a different time frame here in just a moment, but just to kind of, clear things up there. And actually, what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the Coinbase chart here. And I'm going to go ahead and remove, I think it's okay for me to remove what I've got here. Yes, so let's go ahead and remove this. I've got a lot on here, so let me just go ahead and remove all these guys. Okay. So, the big question is, are we done here? That, I don't think we really know that quite yet. It does look like we are trying to break out, though. I will say that it looks like we're trying to. We'll give it some time. We'll see what happens. There's still 8 hours and 17 minutes left in this daily candle. But let's take a look at the hourly. Going back to the hourly, what are we doing here? So what we are seeing is continued hold above the 21 exponential. We saw a continued hold above the 21 exponential here. We had a retest of the 55 here, which basically had it spring back up to continually test the 21 exponential on the hourly, right? So this is just on the hourly. We're not talking about higher time frames. We're being held up by the 21 exponential on the hourly. And we kind of had a little bit of a test right here, but what that also was, this test that we had back here, we are seeing a flip of support and resistance, okay? So again, this is also something that we talk about in our, we talk about this in our videos all the time. We have resistance, more resistance, more resistance, and eventually this resistance is going to get broken, okay? And that's what we've seen here. We've seen this resistance finally get broken. And so this resistance, again, is sitting right here at about 93.75, almost 93.75 exactly. And so, as long as we're staying above 93.75, I do think it is very possible for us to see a continuation move to the upside. Let's go ahead and take a look at this again. So the reason why I wanted to come to a new, cleaner chart is because, well, one, I've got a lot of other Elliott wave on the other chart, and I don't want to get too too mixed up with that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my fib channel, and I'm going to start up here at the top, move my way straight across. Okay, I'm going to move straight across from here, from the very top. All right, I'm going to get that as close as I can. I'm not going to get it perfect, but I'm going to try and get it pretty close. And down here to the bottom. And what I'm going to be paying attention to, let me get rid of my moving averages because we've already talked about that. So let's just get right straight down to candles, right down to candles. And I'm going to go to a 2-hour time frame here because the 2-hour time frame is what is the most important right now. So what I've got my top up here, my bottom down here based on this wick here and this wick up here. So we have yet to have a candle close below the bottom here. So we've wicked below right here, and then we tried to wick below down here. This was a great buy, okay? And actually, I believe this is the area that we may have bought. I can't remember, it's been a while. But we did buy the dip on an alt, and I do believe this was it. This was it down here. We had great confluence for a bounce to occur down here. Now, what we are sort of presented with is, are we going to continue moving to the upside? And if we are, because we have closed a 2-hour candle above this top over here, and we are opening and closing, as long as in the next 14 minutes we don't have a serious move to the downside, we are going to be opening and closing a candle above this top, right? So this would be the first time we have opened and closed above our important level, which again was basically the top of this, which was at 90, we'll call it 94.75. On Coinbase it was 94.7866, but nonetheless this is pretty much it. So it does look like we want to expand to the upside, okay? And again, I'm basing this off of this dominant pivot high here, and I'm basing off of this pivot down here, right? So it is very possible that it would be wiser for me to take this down further, down to this level down here. That does change things for an upside target, right? So this gets us up to our 10,020 target. If I'm simply looking at this level here, the target now then becomes about 99.50. So somewhere between 99.50 and 10,020. Well, maybe we'll just keep it nice and open. 99.50 to 10,050. There's going to be more than likely some serious resistance there. So let's just mark this off. We're going to have 99.50 right here, all the way up to about 10,050. I'm going to be kind of estimating here. And this is going to be where I'm expecting things to reject. Very possible we do not get up here at all. Okay, so keep that in mind as well, because on even higher time frames we are starting to see some bearish divergence. Okay, let me move to a different chart here and see if I can get this to pop up here and see if we can see the bearish divergence on this. Let's take a look at this. This is a chart that I use for our insured members. So I'm going to pull this over here and remove everything that's on here. All right. So are we seeing any kind of bearish divergence? All right. So on a daily time frame, we're not really seeing any bearish divergence right now. So I'm looking at these indicators. Don't see bearish divergence on the daily. On the 12-hour though, we are starting to see signs of bearish divergence. So if we do push down, this 12-hour candle, which still has 8 hours left in it, if we do push down, back down to, let's say 92, 9300, more than likely this is going to confirm some bearish divergence. Now, it is way too early to tell. Way too early for anybody to say this is bearish divergence, right? The signs are there, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to follow through and continue moving to the upside. So again, we've got our high right here. We're creating a higher high right now. Okay, so we're creating a higher high. If this 12-hour candle, again, if this closes below, I guess the really important level for us to close below is going to be here at about 93.35. That's going to be this level right here, looking at these 12-hour candle clusters right there. If we close below that on this 12-hour candle, then I think we pretty much are going to have our bearish divergence. We're going to have a higher high on the price and a lower high on our RSI, and that's what this is right here. If I move to even lower time frames, taking a look at the 6-hour, we also have signs of bearish divergence on the 6-hour, right? So we have our higher high on the price and a lower high on the indicator. That's going to be just regular plain old bearish divergence. And you can see here, we've got this level right there, and it's at about 93.40. This is looking like our area of resistance that broke to move to the upside. So this is why this has to hold now, right? So if you're long from, say, down here at about 8,600, then your stop loss probably should move up here, depending on how you are playing your trades. Again, this is just my opinion. Next level, which was important for us, was this level right here. So we broke through this, right? We had resistance here, resistance, we pushed through, we came back and we retested it, and we were unable to close below it, which is why right now we're trying, well, we tried to push up above, we failed, and then we finally did push through. So give it some time. Give it some time and see what happens if we close back under 93.41. Chances are pretty good we're going to see a move back down at least to this level right here. And of course, our next cluster, which we're going to be paying attention to, which is even more important in my opinion, this is going to be the next cluster that's even more important. This is going to be at 88.50, okay? Tons and tons of confluence here at 88.50. We've got our support here, which broke. It was resistance, and then it broke up. We tried to push back down, but came back up, and then it was support. We pushed through, back up. Finally, we claimed that as support, and then we moved up through this resistance, and now we're supporting that. We pushed through that resistance. Now what's going to happen next? Are we going to get support here at 93? We'll call it 93.40. It's right at about 93.40. Right now we're currently trading above. We're still trading above our previous high up here, which again on Coinbase about 94.75. And we got up as high as 96.15, right? 96.15 or so. We kind of touched 9,600. We're currently trading about $90 below, $80, $90 below from where we currently had our high there. But again, it looks like we might be starting to create some bearish divergence. However, it's totally unconfirmed. Okay, so we've said that on the 12-hour, we are starting to create signs of potential bearish divergence. I'm not saying that we have it because we don't. It's just signs that it could be in the making. The 6-hour, we can see signs of the making. The 4-hour, what does the 4-hour look like? Same thing, right? The 4-hour looks like the same thing. The 3-hour, same thing. We've got much lower RSI compared to what we had up here. On the 2-hour, 2-hour looks the same thing, right? But once you get to lower time frames, the distance that these are apart from each other is a little harder to measure. So I'm going to look at much closer, right? So I'm going to take a look at this high over here compared to this high up here. And then as far as the RSI goes, we've got again something very similar, not confirmed at all. Right? And this divergence is not even very pronounced. Okay, this is minor. So again, in the making. Very, very possible we see that range expansion to the upside. Move back to my 6-hour candles. Range expansion to the upside. Let me just remove these little guys. And talking about that range expansion to the upside using my fib channel. All right, hitting the high there. Try and get that as level as I can. Going to the low down here. Our upside target here is going to be about 10,050. If we pull this back up into here, which I find a little bit better, our target's going to be again about 99.70. If I pull this guy again, and I'm trying to remove wicks here. All right, so removing wicks, this is also very interesting. We tagged a 50% range expansion here to the upside, which was at about 96.15, okay? And this target to the upside would be about 98.50. So we're seeing lots of signs of potential resistance to the upside. Also, what I want to do, just keeping all of that in mind, let me move to a daily time frame and see what we have over to the left. We should always pay attention to what you have in the history to also determine where your support and resistance levels are going to be. What levels do we have that are super, super important? This level right here, approximately, I'm going to give this a range because what I can see here is we've got a low here, right here. We've got a low, we've got lows here. We've got this as resistance. And then it's going to go up to about right here. So these levels are important. This red box is extremely, extremely important. As I move this over, and I'm really just basing this off of these candles over here, right? I based it off of this candle right here and off of this candle right here. And you can see very clearly that we've got resistance right here, right? And then we had attempted support up here. So that level, this top level is very important. This bottom level is also important, okay? Because we had resistance on the bottom level right here, lots of resistance on the bottom level right here, and then we finally, moved to the downside in a big way. We had our big pump in October of 2019, and what do we have here? This is right where we saw the resistance, okay? So these are levels that we do have to pay attention to, and I'm going to continue to pay attention to them. Let me pull this back here so we can see everything. Again, our range expansion to the upside. What was our range expansion to the upside? So we're going to take it from the bottom up here to the top, and I'm going to take a look at our measured move template that I've got. Look at that, our 100% measured move based off of this entire candle right here, 10,600, which is right there at the top. Now, we are still trying to push above that. That's fair to say. And let me just get this as perfect as I can, okay? So we're going to get this guy about right there. And yeah, so, we've got our 50% expansion up here. Again, we were talking about this right at about 10K. But a 100% measured move to the upside would take us to about 10,500, 10,600, which again is going to be another push to this same level, which we have been seeing over and over again, okay? So very possible that we gravitate to that price, because on the daily we do not have any kind of regular bearish divergence. What the daily has, and again, completely unconfirmed, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to be done, completely unconfirmed is the hidden bearish divergence that we are starting to see on the daily. Okay, so let me pull this up here, and I'm going to expand that so we can see this. Hidden bearish divergence. So we have a lower high here, and again, this could, again, continue to move up. This could go up here, and it would still be okay. But tentatively, I'm just going to put this right here for right now. But what we have is, from here to here, we have a higher high on the RSI, and this is on the daily, okay? So we have hidden bearish divergence, which is a lower high on the price and a higher high on the indicator. That is potential hidden bearish divergence. By the way, this is also something completely unrelated. This is also something we're starting to see on the S&P, all right? So I won't get into that, but this is starting to create some signs of hidden bearish divergence. We're creating a higher high on the indicator as we are creating a lower high on the price. Very logical for that to happen, especially when the price did that, right? So we've got a huge, crazy move to the downside, and that also caused our RSI to really bottom out. It came way below 20, and on the daily, buying on these low RSI levels, when you get down here this low, it usually tends to to be a good move, in the short term. Buying back here, we had this move to the upside. Buying right here, we had a big move to the upside. Buying right here, we had a big move to the upside. Now, what about selling, right? Is this a good place to sell or no? Well, we've got our peak right here. This was a good place to sell. Up here, obviously we know that the price did move and continue to the upside, but taking profit up here would have been okay. Taking profit up here would have been okay, especially if you did buy all the way back here. But buying these dips when the RSI on the daily goes below 20, right? So let's just mark that off. Where is 20 in relation to all of this? So I'm going to try and get this as close as I can. So there's our line there. So below 20 was a good buy. Below 20 was a good buy. And look at the volume also. Volume has kind of tapered off a little bit, but the volume has been really good since we had that move to the downside. A huge increase in volume that probably looks very similar to what things look like, back in 2017 at the highs, it looked pretty good. People were buying the dip, no doubt about it. And the price has moved up significantly since then. So price has moved up 150% almost since the bottom. That's pretty significant. That's a huge gain. Okay, I think I have gone on long enough. Of course, if you guys have any questions, you know where to find me. Go ahead and ask away in the Discord. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. If this video did help you in any way, shape, or form, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. If you want to be part of our Discord community, just throw in a comment here in the YouTube chat. I'll be more than happy to get an invite code out to you. And this is the last month where all of the BitDoctor insured membership premiums are going to charity. I'll be doing that again through the rest of this month, going to charities to support COVID-19 relief. Okay, well, wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a good day, a good night, and a good evening. Stay happy, stay healthy, and take care, everyone.